Hey everyone, I'm Adam Constantine. I am Elon University's social media manager, which was not even a position when I was in college. Some people still don't think it's a real position, as I have found when I introduce myself many times. Social media is kind of like the trendy part of the internet. It's probably why I wear red pants, which I don't know if you can see those. All right, never mind. We'll talk about that later. However, there are a lot of serious benefits and warnings that come with social media, especially because we are an institution for higher learning. So what we're going to talk about today is what being a social media brand at Elon entails. By the way, that's my stuff. If you want to follow me on Instagram, just hit those buttons right there. All right. First, why is Elon on social media? I mean, we've been around for a long time. We've been very successful as far as enrollment goes through all of our traditional mediums. However, 71% of millennials check social media at least once per day. Now, that's a high number. That's also just check. It doesn't mean who has what. So that high of a number is extremely important when it comes to where our audience is. 18 to 21-year-olds use an average of 3.7 social media sites. The big four, there are around 7 that are kind of considered, if there were going to be a social media debate, there would be 7 there. 3 of them would have like the 1%, so you're like, yes, you're here, but no one's really listening to you. So the big 4 are Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Now, Snapchat is interesting because while they are the smallest number, they have the highest rate of growth in the 14 to 19-year-old range. Facebook, while they're the largest, have the slowest growth in that same market. So you can't always just look at numbers. However, when it does come to numbers, Facebook has they've just crossed over the 1.5 billion active users when it comes to social media. So this is a fairly well-connected part of our society. So that's great, but what are the benefits? Social media, because of where it started from, it started as a way for audience members to talk to each other. Because really, and I prefer my boss not hear about this, businesses and institutions have no business being on social media. But because our audience is there, we are going to be there. So what does that allow us to do? Well, it allows us to have more of a casual conversation because everything is kind of spoken as if you were to speak to a friend. So because that has been the precedent that's been set, in order for us to jump in that conversation, we need to follow suit. It allows us to give potential students and parents an inside look at what university life is all about. Everyone's going to get literature from every school, from admissions, which is great and absolutely necessary, of these wonderful staged shots of the university. That's fantastic. On social media, we post what happens on a day-to-day basis, and it gives a more genuine feel. So I can say, okay, I can feel at home seeing that these students are studying here in the library, and then they went and had a water balloon fight that was put on by Elon Campus Rec. Do those necessarily go in admissions? I don't know. Maybe there's not space. On social media, we can do that. It's convenient. There's convenience for our audience. So what does that mean? Well, we have come into a society, and what social media has ushered in is ease of information to where that's almost becoming expected. Example being, if I want to go out to eat and I look up the restaurant on Twitter to see what their specials are, things like that, and they haven't posted in 3 months, that restaurant is dead to me. It doesn't matter if they have a 5-star Yelp review, whatever that is. If I'm on social media and I look it up, I'm moving on to the next one because I want ease of information. So that is what we have to do with our audience. We take our information that we have and put it out in a convenient format so that if they choose to view it, they have that option. That's a big word. It's free. Now, free in the sense, not my salary, but when it comes to what you have to do to put your information out there, those mediums are made for the audience to join in that conversation. So we can do the same thing. If somebody wants to, that is on the other side of the world, view what we're doing, they can do that for free. We don't have to put out a multi-million-dollar TV ad campaign. All of our information is right there, readily available on the platforms in which our audience exists every day. So let's talk about strategy. How does Elon University, an institution of higher learning, have a conversation that is convenient and relevant to our audience? Now, as a university, when I ask, who is our audience, what would you say? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Who's our audience? Students. Now, who else is our audience? Parents. So, I don't know if anybody has checked 2 different social media sites of 20-year gaps. So let's say checking 18-year-olds' social media sites and then a 38-year-old's social media sites. They're completely different information that you see on both of those. So we have to find a way to put out information that is both entertaining and engaging without alienating either of those audiences. So regardless of what we put out, no matter how trendy, no matter how fun, any type of information we put out is information that is going to lead to the betterment of Elon University. Because at the end of the day, we are an institution that prides ourselves on creating global citizens that will go out into the world and do great things for society. So it doesn't matter if I'm doing a post about Star Wars, a post about Back to the Future. At the end of the day, we need to show, hey, we're an intellectual institution that will provide the learning for your family. That being said, that's why I use the Star Wars and Back to the Future, because we need engaging content to open conversations with our audience. And also, we know it sells on TV. We don't necessarily need to say it now. But on social media, emotion sells. If you think about even your personal habits, what you interact with, it's usually something that invokes some type of emotion. It's the same type of thinking that we have to have. Now quickly, let's go through some of the drawbacks. Aside from the really scary ones that were just mentioned about passwords, I think I'm gonna go change mine in a little bit. But social media is a multi-directional medium, which means that our audience's voice is just as powerful, if not more powerful than ours. So we need to be careful not to be too seemingly controlling. Obviously, we don't want to be inappropriate because our audience has a voice and platform in which they hold the power. And that can be scary, especially when companies in general are used to being the ones that put out the message and their consumers have to deal with it that way. Improper research plus instant gratification can lead to potential disaster. It is so easy to see something that you see is cool, relevant, and pop it onto your feed or site. But if it's not correct, it looks really bad. Now, on a personal site, you might look silly. You can play it off as a joke. We have an esteemed journalism school here. If I put out some information that's incorrect, does that just say, oh, the social media manager messed up? No, Elon University, that has an esteemed journalism school, did not do their research and thus does not produce students of higher learning. Just like that, from one mistake. So at the end of the day, and this is what I'll leave you with before Sam takes over, perception on social media is reality. That's not fair, and that fairness is completely irrelevant. So anytime that we're putting out information, both personal, because you all are all tied in with Elon too. I'm sure it probably says works at Elon University, so-and-so to present. If you post something, first thing they're gonna do, Elon University employee, and they'll make you sound like you created Elon as well. Elon University employee does such and such. And whether that's fair or not, on social media, once it's out there, it becomes a reality.
Hi, I'm Samantha Allen. I'm a senior here at Elon. Yes, I am a student. And I'm going to be talking today a little bit about more of a technology department point of view of social media. This summer, I was lucky to work with Teaching and Learning Technologies to help them with marketing and communication. And a huge part of that was working on our social media. So the first thing that we talked about is Elon Technology is already on Facebook and Twitter, but they were like, well, maybe we could be here. Instagram's fun, Snapchat is fun. But what I have to say to that is you should only be on the networks that you have the time, resource, knowledge, and audience for. No, I mean, we all have full-time, you all have full-time jobs, still working on that. And so, I mean, you don't have time to sit at your desk and update 5 different sites unless you get paid as a social media manager. So lucky to do that. Don't have the resources to create engaging videos and content all the time. You probably shouldn't be on Snapchat if you don't know what Snapchat is. And audience, you want to be where the people are. If your audience is students, you know, or anyone, you probably shouldn't be on Google+. So then we move on to when you're on these sites, you want to be consistent, not a suck up, but here are Elon's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Same profile pictures, same cover photos. If you have either your personal site or a site for your department, you want to have the same images, the same name. If someone looks you up, you want to make it easy for them to find you. And if it's the same picture, they're going to know it's you and that you're a trustworthy source for that. And then when it comes to posting, you want to have variety. One rule is the rule of thirds. Between social media, they go with a lot of rules on what's the best way to post. This one is just one of the ways, promoting what you work on, what your department works on, sharing what other people work on, and then engaging with your audience. And a lot of time people have a hard time with that because it's easy to promote yourself, say, we have this event, this is what we do. But as a department, you also want to share other things. Elon Technologies Twitter has gained 200 followers in the last few months because Michael Vaughn, who runs the account, has been sharing content from interesting websites that people have now trusted Elon Technology as a source for tech information. Variety is also important when it comes to what you're sharing. Images almost do like 5 times better than links, but it's important to have variety so someone doesn't come to your page and just see words after words after words. One example of that is a few days ago we had introduced the Elon Kickbox, and we had a booth at College Coffee. And so instead of Michael just posting a tweet that said, come to College Coffee, he made this fun graphic that I think caught a lot more attention than normal text. So in conclusion, create consistent content that your audience will love. The average tweet lifespan is only 18 minutes, so you can't just tweet once, leave it there for a month.
Well, thank you all very much for having us.